For those of you that were lucky enough to watch the PPA Masters, you may have seen Jack Sock make his debut for Selkirk. And what paddle was he using? This one. None other than the Selkirk Luxx Invikta. And today we're going to take a look at why this is his paddle of choice and why it might just be a good option for you as well. So for a long time, the paddle behind me, the Invikta Power Air, was the go-to choice for many pro players. However, that has now changed. You are seeing players opting to use the brand new Luxx Control Air by Selkirk. And this is the reason why. It is an incredibly good paddle. It's designed for control. In a time where paddles have been created to enhance power, the control market has been very underserved. You've seen a few attempts to make some great paddles, however, none really at this level. The Selkirk have done an amazing job with a really nice, well-balanced control paddle that feels incredible to use. And this is the Selkirk Luxx Invikta. For those of you that watched my last video on the Epic, thank you so much for doing that. I hope it helped you pick a paddle that might be right for you. For those that are looking to find out if this is going to be different, there are some differences with this pickable paddle. I'm going to tell you about those because that may sway your decision for what option you do pick. But just to recap, so the S2 is their first shape, so it's a smaller handle, wider paddle face, best suited for table tennis players or those that like to put a finger on the back of the paddle face. Next up, we have their middle of the road paddle, so if you're new to racket sports, that's the Epic. And then you've got the Invikta. For those that come from badminton, squash, rackets, check it out if you've not had a look at it. It's an incredible sport. Tennis, this is probably going to be the best option for you because it feels most like a racket as opposed to a paddle. But we're going to dive into the paddle specifications and then I'm going to tell you about who this paddle might be for and whether it might be a good option for you. The Selkirk Luxx Control Air Invikta comes in three awesome colorways. It comes in this gold, looks quite similar to the Tyson, probably shouldn't say that, but the old Tyson McGuffin colorway. It then comes in a really nice red, pretty similar to the red here. However, the red covers most of the face. I'll put it up on the screen here. And then it comes in a really cool blue color as well here. So free to choose from. Personally, I think the red looks stunning. Jack Sock was using the red and I'd like to be like Jack Sock on the court, so hence why I will pick the red. But entirely up to you. The gold looks cool, the blue looks cool. Completely user preference. So the Invikta Luxx Control Air comes in a weight range between 7.8 to 8.1 ounces. So it's within that mid-weight paddle range. And the reason how they could get it that is because they've taken the edge guard off. They've got some really cool tech packed in. And they've also got the aerodynamic throat. So it does take some weight out of specific areas on the paddle. So if you are looking for a mid-weight paddle, this could be a good option for you. It's not incredibly heavy. It does look like a battle axe, but actually you still do get the sense of having a light paddle. It's very strange to describe, but for the thickness that this paddle is at 20 mil, you'd expect it to be incredibly heavy, like 8.5 ounces. But they've done a really good job with some of the tech that they've packed in, some of the materials that they've used, and the way they've designed the paddle itself. So the paddle's length is 16.45 inches. And the paddle's width is 7.5 inches, so that's a really nice length. It actually does look longer than most other paddles. I don't know why, but if you can see it through there, it does look like quite a long paddle compared to something like this. The handle length is 5.35 inches, so it is on the shorter side of a long handle. However, as I mentioned in the last video I did on the Luxx, it's got the V here, so you can move your hand up the paddle face or behind the paddle, so you can still get two hands on it quite comfortably. And I've got quite big hands and it still fits, so I can still whip through with two hand backhands. Grip circumference is 4.25, typical for what you will see with most Selkirk paddles on the market, other than something like the Selkirk SLK Halo Power, which has a slightly thinner grip. But this one's got a 4.25, so very comfortable to sit in your hands, and it also has their high-tack Geo Performance grip. This one's a little bit dirty because I have been trying it out and loads of players have been testing it. Now we get to the really cool stuff. The face of it uses a really nice proprietary blend of carbon fiber to create Florek Carbon Fiber. It sounds amazing, I can tell you. It really does still generate a punch, even though you do get a lot more control than most other paddles I've tried on the market. Way more than this thing behind me, by the way. If you struggle using this paddle, this is going to feel like a completely different thing. Some players describe it as dinking with a marshmallow because it is so soft. So if that feels or sounds like you, then this could be a good option for you as a player. So it features their proprietary blend of carbon fiber to create this Florek Carbon Fiber, which derived from their 003 technology. A really nice blend. It creates a nice feel, a nice pop, and still a lot of power. And you still get long-lasting spin generation through it. However, it has got that grit face like you'll see with a lot of Selkirk paddles, which does over time degrade / wear off a little bit, so you will start to see those spin numbers drop, unfortunately. The Florek Carbon Fiber also enables the paddle to have a much larger sweet spot, so you'll feel that across the entire Selkirk Luxx range. It has a really nice feeling large sweet spot. As for the core, it uses their X7 Thikset Honeycomb Core. Bit of a mouthful, but there's a reason behind it. It's derived from their 003 technology, like the Florek Carbon Fiber, but a very, very nice feeling paddle. And this use of X7 Thikset Honeycomb really does improve the size of the sweet spot and also enables them to get a really thick core at not much in the way of added weight. I don't know how they've done it. I mean, hats off to the designers, creators who made this paddle. And you also have the aerodynamic technology packed into this paddle, like it was on the Power Air before it. So you've got the throat flex technology here, and you've also got the edgeless design. So essentially, it helps you move the paddle quicker through the air. So when you're at the net, you can really feel that quick hand speed. A lot of people say this paddle looks like a club because of how thick it is and how on earth do you move it. But actually what they've done through those aerodynamic features, it really doesn't feel like it impacts too much in the way of the swing speed. It is a little bit heavier to swing around. However, weight-wise, it does feel quite nice, and you can drive the ball as well, which is what I like about it. The paddle face also features their Pro Spin Next Gen technology. So this Pro Spin texture has been designed in the Selkirk labs, and it's essentially been created to generate more spin. Spin being really important when you get into the higher leagues, when you start playing competitively. The more spin you can get on the ball really does impact the performance of a paddle on the court. So what they've done with this new Proto Spin Next Gen micro texture technology, of course a mouthful, is to really emphasize the spin of the paddle straight out the box. It has a flex foam perimeter, so foam injected sides to really expand the sweet spot on the paddle's face. So who does this paddle suit? As I mentioned earlier, the Invikta paddle shape really does suit those that come from a racket sports background, purely because it feels more like a racket as opposed to a paddle like you would feel when you come from something like table tennis. Speaking to some of the pros here in the UK and some of the advocates Selkirk have, this is more of a doubles paddle, particularly if you're playing competitively, purely because it feels a lot softer. Something like the Power Air Invikta behind me is more of a singles paddle because you can drive the ball really hard. With that being said, if you're a player that can easily generate power and you don't need a paddle to impact your power or influence it in any way, and you think, actually, I just need control in my game, like Jack Sock, for example, the reason he uses this paddle is because he generates a ton of power anyway. So when he drives the hammer down on an overhead, he's got enough power, so he needs more control to emphasize the placement. So that's why you might use this paddle in particular. Also, if placement over power is what you're after, so maybe you're a doubles player, then this is a good option for you purely because it feels very nice on dinks. What I would do as well for this paddle is add some lead tape for stability, probably just around here, or if you want some additional power on the top as well. Selkirk do some really cool tungsten tape, which some of the players, including Jack Sock, was using the other day, which just adds some additional weight to certain places on the paddle. So I've been Lloyd from the Pickleball store, and this is the Selkirk Luxx Invikta in the gold colorway. Thank you so much for watching the video. I really do hope you liked it. The main aim of these videos is not to try and get a ton of likes or anything like that. It's just to try and help people like yourselves find what paddle may suit them. So I hope it has done that. Any questions, please feel free to put in the chat below, and I will get back to you as soon as we can. I've been Lloyd from the Pickleball store. Have a great day and take care.